You are listening to Basement Chronicles with Lisa Dublin, episode number 50. In this episode, I talk about the power of desiring more from life. I talk about finding myself in rooms that are way more powerful and posh than I'm accustomed to, and how does one navigate a reality that you've always wanted but never experienced before. Hey, you made it! Welcome to my basement! I'm Lisa Dublin, a health and life coach, and I help professional and executive women to live, lead, and speak with confidence. Because you know what? Developing your confidence and deepening your faith in God is the best formula for an amazing life. So, are you ready? Let's go. Hello, podcast listeners. How are you doing? I was on my treadmill the other day and I realized that Basement Chronicles can generally be categorized into personal development or motivation or inspiration. But I know I've been away for a while, but I've been thinking and planning and organizing life. And writing my second book, I'm not going back to the office. Yes, I'm still writing it. I realize I've really been living life according to a 5D framework. And that 5D framework is the divine, that's the foundation, as in my belief in God. On top of that, though, are 4 other Ds that also power and fuel what I do. The power to desire more from life, the audacity to design life the way I want it, the discipline to make it happen, and the determination to go forward way past when it makes sense and I want to do it. I'll do it because I must find a way. So that is the 5D framework. Divine, desire, design, discipline, and determination. Why am I bringing this up here? Because my big thought on my treadmill is that I'm going to start categorizing my podcasts, according to one of these categories. Because when I really think about it, almost everything I've been speaking about in the first 48 episodes of this podcast, or 49 now, I have been dealing with one aspect of the 5D life. So where am I going to put this podcast that is called She's Coming Up in the World? I'll classify it under desire, wanting things badly, wanting things so much that you end up getting them. And then the question being, what do you do once you find them? How do you fit yourself into a new reality that you're not accustomed to? I'm not sure if you realize this from my story, but even though I'm the person whose business and how I approach life, I expect and I give a certain level of elegance, sophistication, and professionalism and class, right? I didn't grow up rich. I grew up middle of the middle class, you guys. Literally, if that is a category, an economic category, I think my family of 6, it's me, my sister, and my 2 brothers, plus my mom and dad. We were middle of the middle class. My mom was a teacher. She's retired now, many, many years now. And my dad, too, retired. He worked at the local telecommunications company, and he rose to the level of supervisor. So, we were living our little life, our middle-class life. That's what we were. But I've always aspired to more, especially since I went off and first got certified as an image consultant way back in 2004. And that began to just expose me to a different way of doing life where, things were way more refined and sophisticated, and there was protocol and ways to dine and that kind of thing. Ever since then, and even becoming a coach and having quite a number of high-end clients, I've been exposed vicariously to a life I didn't even know existed, just enjoying how they live and go about traveling the world, doing business, doing work. You realize that there are levels to this. Let's put it that way. Now, if you're hearing me speak and you're saying to yourself, oh, she's sounding very materialistic and uppity, let me just correct you one time. I am not. You guys, right now in Edmonton, I go to the cheapest gym there is, okay? I don't care 1, 2 hoots about that. I will still post my videos. I will still, I don't care if the gym is in the back or people know that. And it was pointed out to me the other day. Somebody said something. I was like, what? Like people even consider that to be a marker of something. Okay, it doesn't even matter to me. As far as I'm concerned, I understand, even especially being at this ripe old age of 50, that I am an inspiration to so many of my peers who would love to get the motivation again to get up and exercise. So you think I'm going to care about whether I'm going to a cheap gym or not? No, excuse me. I'm not going to play rich and then have a dry bank account. Like it's not going to happen, right? And I prefer to be conservative like that. It really doesn't matter. I get a great workout in. It's a lovely gym and I really don't care. So I wanted to give that story as context for what I'm next going to speak about because it's going to get posh. Are you ready? A couple days ago, I got invited to a very exquisite event. There I was, sitting at a lovely little restaurant here in Edmonton, sampling wines and tasting how such and such a wine went with that meal and those hors d'oeuvres. Oh my goodness, you guys, it was very tastefully presented and the atmosphere was good. The company was also great. Now, I am not a regular alcohol imbiber. I gave it up a couple years ago, and although, I've been slipping a little bit, maybe Christmas time or Valentine's or my anniversary, I have to admit. But on that night, I obliged and I, was doing the wine tastings and, I came across a very, very sweet red wine and it's locally made. That was what was so impressive about the whole event. It was those people who make the wines right here in Canada and were inviting people to taste and to see what they could do and to educate people about what these wines could be paired with. It was a lovely event. There was, oh my gosh, the food was exquisitely presented. It wasn't your regular, slop it onto your plate and go sit down. Absolutely not. And I realized exactly why, too, they said, drinking lots of alcohol can make you put on weight because, man, that wine was so sweet and so nice. You could down a whole bottle and take in all these calories and just be done, honestly. And, I was hobnobbing and meeting people, some of whom I knew, at least from afar. I'd seen them at other networking events and we would greet each other or we would hear of each other. But I was now in proximity to those people, sitting at the table with them, getting to know them better and them getting to know me better so that by the end of the night together, we exchanged numbers and I'm sure we are going to keep in touch. In fact, I've reached out to and some have reached out to me as well. And I realized what they said about a lot of business happening on the golf course. You guys know that traditional saying of more business is done on the golf course than in the office or in the boardrooms. It's because you create human connections that are not the basis for business, but create a basis for business because you don't come with the intention to just do business. And I realize even in those kinds of circles, the conversations are different. It's not your regular fare. It's more nuanced and more polished, and I quite fit in. And let me tell you why I fit in, okay? I have this concept, I'm not sure if I've said it on the podcast before. I have this concept that I teach my clients as in the Speak with Confidence program and my life coaching clients, and I practice it myself. The concept of looking across at people. I'm not looking up or down because the basis for my equality is my humanity with you. I am 100% human being looking at you, 100% human being. So it's not a matter, I'm not judging you by how much money you have or judging myself by how much money I am going to be basing the equality of our stations by our humanity. And each one of us, every person you speak to is not an alien, in spite of AI and all of that. Every person you speak to and you meet is 100% human. If you make that the basis for equality, then I believe we will get on better and we will find ourselves able to frequent bigger rooms, more powerful and more posh rooms like I have been recently. So I was thinking One of the categories that I want to introduce on Basement Chronicles, the podcast, is she's coming up in the world. Because I'd love to take you on that wide-eyed, humble, childlike journey with me as I discover new things about life and as I meet bigger and bigger audiences and people and, let's go up in the world together. How does that sound to you? Tell me, write me back and tell me. My email address will be in the show notes, so you can email me back. There are two kinds of people who will respond to what I'm saying now. If you are the second kind, please don't even bother email. The first kind is like, yes, Lisa, let's go. I'm with you. I'm on that journey as well. I want to be. Of course, Lisa, let's go up in the world, because we all recognize that being more moneyed, being more powerful, being in more posh rooms does not make you a better human being. No, it's the quality of your heart and your relationship to God, I think, that determines, the state of your life, basically, and how precious or whatever it is, right? Like, how close are you to God? Let's not take away from that. That is front and center for me, and I don't care, right? That would be front and center always. So those kinds of people will be like, yes, Lisa, let's move up. The second kind will be like, oh, there she goes again, talking about money, always offering something to the public. Why is she so concerned? Okay, that's fine. If that is you, maybe you're not part of this tribe. Or maybe you should be listening, because it's pretty important that we desire the best things in life. And I know they say the best things in life are free, but frankly, they are not. Not all of them. Salvation is, not nearly anything else is, okay? You've got to pay. And so I feel like I want to go on this wide-eyed journey with my audience of, this is how I'm coming up in the world. Can you come along with me? Recognizing that it's not coming from a place of being very standoffish or being, what's the word I'm looking for that I don't like? I don't like standoffish. I don't like arrogant. I don't like mean. I don't like sometimes the elitism that comes when people have money and all of that. But I do like opulence and wealth and having nice things and being able to help when people ask of me. Doesn't everybody want that? So that's why you need to come up in the world. That's why you have to do business. That's why you would want to desire more so that you can do more. Does that make sense? And to just enjoy a better quality of life, because we all work very hard. But where I want to go next with this topic is the question that needs to be answered. How does somebody from a middle class or lower class, somebody who's not moneyed, I didn't grow up with a name that had any kind of, weight beyond knowing that my family, my mom and dad brought us up well. They brought us up with manners. They were respectable people and everybody knew that. But to say that you'd hear the this and that, the so and so, no, that was not me. How does somebody like that, and I'm sure if you're listening to me, perhaps that's your story. How do you get exposed to more if that is not in your environment right now? There are two ways that I want to point to. And in episode number 20 of this Basement Chronicles podcast, go check it out. Because one of the things that I said I was going to do is every 10 episodes, I have usually been giving a book review. I did not do it for the 50th one because I'm actually reading a book now that I have to figure out my head about. I have to figure out what I think about this book. I'll let you guys know about it, perhaps review it when we get to episode number 60. But it's a dicey book. It's a controversial book. And I really want to discuss it and take it through a different lens and path. So excuse me if episode 50 is not a book review. Anywho, in episode 20 of this podcast, go check it out, please. I spoke about the 9-to-5 Millionaire. It's a book by a guy called Jamal King. He's a multi-millionaire, and he got his millies while he was still a police officer going into real estate. And he teaches people how, as he says, to make real estate real, to make it a reality for him. What is especially great about Jamal is the way that this guy dreamed big dreams. He meant to be drafted in the NFL, but he wasn't. And he began on this path to be a police officer, much like his father, his mom, his brothers before him. Anywho, then Jamal gets exposed to the life of the NFLers through his friends who made it to the league. And he realizes that it is possible to live a different kind of life where you're not worrying about the money, where you are making great decisions and you are being able to invest where it's easier. He got exposed to that kind of life by being around people who he knew in his circle. Not all of us have it, okay? So that first way to be exposed might not apply. But here's something that Jamal says. He always says, the level of your exposure determines your level of success. If you are listening to me today and you are like me, who came from very modest, humble, respectable roots, but you want more in life, can I tell you, because you are that human being who does not shy away from looking across at people because you are 100% human, much like them, can I tell you, take every opportunity, go to every dinner, go where Posh is. Listen, you have to be listening to this podcast to understand the context in which I just said that, right? I'm sure you get it. Do not shy away and be like, oh, this is not for people like me. Pretend that you don't get the memo and go and get exposed to what more is like. That is how you're going to get ahead. That is how you're going to have different desires beyond what you are accustomed to, you guys. The second way that he pointed to is, and I kid you not, he's like, well, I grew up watching Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. I was like, what? You know how I come from a generation where we were not encouraged to take on anything on TV. But here's the thing. What it's good for is that many of the influencers and people we follow are now willing to share behind the scenes and to let you see how they live. And there is like a set of those kinds of people. Yes, they are pretentious sometimes, but many times the lifestyles that they present are possible. Especially when you get into masterminds or you're following somebody in business who you've maybe paid for their course and they give you inside information, you see the inner workings of what rich, wealthy, famous is about. You see how they think about money. You see how they live, how they make decisions. How do you think you're going to get there if you are not exposed to that kind of life? If you are, you grew up moneyed and everything was okay, well, you already have it. So you might be patting me on the back and be like, yes, Lisa, we got it. But I know most of the people who follow this podcast are like me from very modest roots and wanting to come up in the world some which what way. I really hope that you email me, tell me what you think of this podcast, whether that's you and you hear the vulnerability of this is where I started, but this is not where I want to end up, and I want to take you on that journey as I come up in the world. And the thing is that it's to want more from life. I remember during the pandemic, one of the things that happened for me, and it began to happen even before, I think when I began my coaching / personal training with that personal trainer, I always talk about him, right? The possibilities of life began to present themselves. I began to just be exposed and to expose myself through podcasts and magazines and Instagram and YouTube. I began to expose myself to what was possible. And so that is my question for you. Even in your desires, are you desiring more? And don't knock yourself. Maybe one of the reasons that you are not desiring more is because you don't know what else is possible. Go find out, because as Jamal King says, the level of your exposure determines the level of your success. You cannot hanker after what you don't know exists. So go after more. This is it, you guys. So there I was, feeling very posh. Oh my God. And one thing I realized, I was like, okay, now I have to think of, clothes and, I'm very chill, very laid back, don't mind all my talk, whatever. For the most part, I'm working, so I never come out. And now it is, I have to find the clothes, find the shoes, find the bags to go with everything. And I'm like, okay, what is happening even? What is this about? How do you do this? I think I have, where I do have like more credibility and experiences in dining, because even when I did image consulting, there were these modules. So a lot of what I've learned being exposed to that world has come through education, not experience. So just in dining, I went to another Posh event one time. Recently, this year, it's been happening because I've been thinking about it. So you know where your focus goes, your energy flows, and what you think about is what you attract. I'm telling you, it's happening. So I went to this other event, and because I know the dining protocols, whatever, you know how if you're having soup and you have the soup spoon, like you need to scoop it away from you as opposed to towards you. Why? Because if you scoop the soup away in the bowl, yes, but you scoop it away to the outer edge of the bowl, the likelihood that you're going to spill on your clothes is less. So you scoop it away, but you still bring it up to your mouth to drink the soup. And, I'm sitting there having my soup, practicing my little manners. This lady is sitting across from me and she's like, oh, my goodness, I can see that you're quite polished. Or she said something like that. And she didn't say it in a way like she was surprised that somebody like me. No, she said it with amazement and just a complimentary way, And here's the thing, I didn't even go there in terms of why she's saying, I just accepted it. And then somebody on my right, somebody's like, oh, why are you doing this? That person did not even know. And the minute I told her very nicely what I'd learned, like why you scoop the soup away, then this lady starts to do the same. So, it's just funny how the things that you think about and desire, you can end up having them. And I feel like we need to ask for more in life. Ask for what you want, the way that you want it, and from that moment, believe that it's yours. From that moment, also begin to prepare for it becoming yours, for it becoming your reality. So I've really been thinking about this confidence line. I've got Speak with Confidence, and my tagline, I've got another tagline somewhere that says, Speak with confidence, lead with confidence, live with confidence. And I've been thinking about those things about coming up in life. And maybe we should have something like dine with confidence. Oh my goodness. Would you like that? Let me know what you think of this topic. But I hope you hear this, just modest human being, little girl from 230, no, grown woman right now. What am I talking about? But from 238 square miles, wanting to come up in the world, wanting to do good things, big things, not with the arrogance of the moment, but with the childlike wonder that a lot more is possible if we believe, if we put in the work, if we are grateful and humble. A lot more is possible. So let's go on this journey together, okay? Time will come when I come on the podcast and speak about bigger things and better things. And by that time, hopefully, with the resources that I can provide and point to, you yourself might be further ahead or on that journey of coming up in the world. I'll see you in the next episode. Before we sign off, I want to invite you to take the next step with me. If you know you have something to say but you want help saying it with more clarity, confidence, and more power, start with my free Speak with Confidence starter course. It's a beautiful way to begin strengthening your voice and your message. Go to lisamw.com/SWC starter for more information and to sign up. And if you are ready for deeper support, then I invite you to join the next cohort of Speak with Confidence. We have both virtual and in-person cohorts. Speak with Confidence is my signature program designed to help you become a stronger, more effective speaker in your work, your business, and your life. And for those of you who know that the issue is not speaking, but that perhaps you feel stuck in a deeper way with your mindset, your direction, perhaps you are stuck with old habits that are preventing you from moving forward, I want to invite you into my life coaching program, How to Get Unstuck. This is where we do the deeper work of helping you move forward with clarity, confidence, and intention. And how do we do it? We do it by providing knowledge, systems, and accountability to get you from good to great. So whether you need help finding your voice, strengthening your presence, or getting unstuck altogether, there is another step for you in my world. All the links are in the show notes. Get in touch. I would love to work with you.